all of a sudden, when something doesn't go our way, how many of you know it's easy to be discouraged? You put something in the miracle basket and it doesn't come to pass in the timing that you want or the way that you want. And it's like, God's never going to answer me, or God's never going to listen to me. And many times, again, when we don't get those immediate results, it's easy to get discouraged. Has any of you ever prayed for something and you like put a timeline on it and then it doesn't happen? Has that ever, and it's just like, this is never going to happen, right? It's easy to get discouraged when we want these immediate results because, again, we are this generation that is like this instant and immediate generation. I think about like you go to a restaurant and it's not even a fast food restaurant. It's like Chili's are on the border. And it's like, it's been 5 minutes and I still don't have my food yet. It's like, we get crazy, you know what I'm saying? You go to El Salvador and it's like, they're there for just like the day, like hanging out, like eating food. And it's like, you wait 20 minutes at least to get someone to come say hi to you. And then they're like, just read through every single word of the menu. And then we'll come back and get your order. And it's like, oh, I know what I want. Oh, that's okay. Just take your time. But our generation in our culture that we live in, it's like, give me what I want when I want it. And I want it hot. Like I was thinking about Qdoba. You go to Qdoba, and that's like, you can't get any more instant than Qdoba. Everything's like laid out in front of you. You're just like, that, checkout, right? Until that's something that my mom is like, this food's not that hot. I'm like, Mom, if you want food right at your fingertips and it's sitting out because that's the only way you can get it as fast as you want, it's probably not going to be as hot as you want. But that's basically what our generation has come to, is this immediate, immediate results. So I was also thinking about something, putting things in the miracle basket, and it's like, this is a situation that I'm actually going through right now. So Mike and I decide that we're going to put our house up for sale, right? So I'm like, we're putting our house, I'm like starting to pack things, right? Like my house is going to sell. And I remember like after the first month, my dad said, look, like, how's it going? I was like, I don't know if our house ever sells. And he's like, what do you mean if your house ever sells? I was like, well, it's been like a month and no one's even put an offer in on it. And he's like, but you said if your house ever sells. And I was like, yeah, because obviously no one wants it. And I'm being all like talking like this because that's how I get when I get so mad when it doesn't happen the way that I want. And he's like, do you not trust in God? And I was like, I do. He's like, well, then stop talking like that, because if you really trusted in God, you wouldn't say, if my house ever sells, because if you put it in the miracle basket, you just have to know that it's God's timing. And it was like, one of those like smacks across the face that it's like, you are so right, but I don't want to admit you're right. So it's just like, well, it seems like you should have sold by now. 8 months later, our house still hasn't sold, and I'm just like, God, your timing is so great. Like, I just know it's going to be like the perfect time. Right when the wood floors go down in the house that we're moving into, I just know there's wood floors. Right when the paint's done, my house is going to sell. We want stuff. We want stuff how we want it, and we want it when we want it. And like I was saying when I said, if my house ever sells, that's so negative. Can you agree with me that is so negative? If only I were that funny. So again, when things don't happen the way we want it to happen, we get discouraged. But we have to realize that that's not how life works. Life is not a genie. I was just told that the other day by my dad. He's so wise. God's not a genie in the bottle, Ashley. And I'm like, I know, because I'm so about, like, I want stuff to happen when it's supposed to happen. So we have to realize that that's not how life works. But again, when we don't see things happen and we don't see them the way that they happen or in the timing, we get discouraged. And this is what happened to Abraham. Here God says that Sarah's going to have a wife. Who cares if you're 100? Who cares if she's 90? Who cares however long that you're going to try? And they tried and he got discouraged. So what did he do? He ended up taking matters into his own hands. He slept with the servant. He had a son. And even when God still said, Abraham, I'm still going to give you that child of promise, he says, oh, may Ishmael live before you. Isn't that crazy? So Abraham decided, well, whatever I did, even though it was my own plan and it was the own way that I wanted it, it's good enough. And he settled. So In Psalm 31:19, it says, "How abundant are the good things that you have stored up for those who fear you, that you should bestow in the sight of all on those who take refuge in you." Have you ever settled for something in life that was less than great? Be honest with me. Have you ever settled for anything in life? It could be a job. It could be a girlfriend. It could be a boyfriend. It could be even you pick up a new hobby and you don't pursue it with everything that you have. So you just decide, I'm just going to be mediocre at this. I'm just going to settle for the way that I am, right? Many times in life, we settle for things. But my question for you tonight, and you don't have to raise your hand, is have you settled for less than what God really has planned for your life? Because again, sometimes when we get discouraged because things aren't going our way and it's not happening in the timing that we want and this plan that God has for us, and it seems like everything's in disarray, we settle for less than what God has planned for our life. We have to realize now He has a plan for our life. It might not happen in the timing that He has for us. It might not happen maybe the exact way that we want it to happen, but God has a plan. But sometimes we can't wait it out with Him, that we settle for less than great. So sometimes we even might get discouraged again by the timing of things, or many times when we think of the plans of God and think of everything that He has for us, we may even be discouraged with what has happened in the past. Maybe our past mistakes, our past failures, maybe a past relationship that you feel like is holding you back. Maybe it's an insecurity that you hear God has great things planned for you, but you're so insecure inside that you can't really appreciate and accept the greatness that God has for you. And a lot of times we settle for not being able to fully trust in God. So we say, God, I'm going to walk your path, but I'm going to trust you here, and I'm not going to trust you here. God, I'm going to walk this path, but I'll trust you now, but I'm not going to trust you tomorrow. So a lot of times we settle things not only for things in the natural, but the things of the Spirit as well. So God doesn't want us to settle for anything less than amazing, because I tell you again and again and again that God has amazing things planned for each and every one of us. But yet, sometimes when things don't go according to our plan, we settle. And I'm just thinking of all the different things, and just think about it in your life. Like, what have you settled for? Have you been in a relationship with someone that was abusive, but you decide, you know what, I don't ever want to start over again, so I'm just going to settle for staying in this relationship? Or you settle for hanging out with friends who keep asking you to do the wrong things and keep asking you to do the wrong things, but you don't want to have to find new friends. So you settle for hanging out with those old friends. And just, again, think of anything that could relate to your life. Many times we settle. So just fill that blank in, whatever it is, we settle. And we shouldn't settle, because it says here, how abundant are the good things that you have stored up for those who fear you. That's so awesome to know that God has abundantly great and awesome things planned for each and every one of us. And that's just like Abraham. God had an amazing plan for him. He said, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless your descendants, and I'm going to give you that child of promise. And he's like, well, it's not really happening how I want it, so I'm just going to go off and do it the way that I want. In Hebrews 12:16-17, it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, try it again. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it diligently with tears. Do you know that there's a verse in the Bible that says, Jacob I have loved, but Esau I have hated? Do you guys know that? Because Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. And this isn't about just Esau being hungry. This isn't about Esau, I'm just hungry and I'm just going to give up my birthright and I'm just going to try to get it back. But this is really about him giving up his birthright because he wanted temporary satisfaction. He came in from a long day. His brother's cooking up this stew, and he's like, I'll give you anything you want if you give me food. So can you imagine, we don't have those birthrights now, but can you imagine like the inheritance that your parents may have for you, or, you get this inheritance of like $1 million, and you're just like so hungry one day that you come in, it's like, Christina, I'm just so hungry. Just give me that chicken noodle soup and I'll give you $1 million. Can you imagine? Like, talk about instant gratification. So sometimes this happens to us is we give up on the things that God has planned for us due to temporary satisfaction. Again, we want things the way that we want them. And we talked earlier about wanting these immediate results. We talked about settling for less than what God has planned for us. But now let's talk about temporary satisfaction. Temporary satisfaction is something that we need now, no matter the cost, no matter the compromise that we have to make in order to get that immediate satisfaction. It's I need it, and I need it now. The actual definition of fornicator is consensual sexual intercourse between two persons not married to each other. So that's the definition, right, of fornication. But there's so much more to just the sin of actually having sexual intercourse outside of marriage, because it really is having that temporary satisfaction. It's having what you want when you want it. See, God is not all. Is this flying around me because everyone's staring at me? Okay. Yeah, but there's this look. There's this look when you're talking, and then there's this look when it's a bug. And all of a sudden, everyone's eyes just got. These are a problem. It's going to be the death of me. Okay. Fornication. Again, the actual definition of fornication is consensual intercourse between two people before they are married. But there's so much more to fornication than that. I want to repeat myself because I got a little crazy. Fornication is about having temporary satisfaction, wanting what you want when you want it. And we have to realize that with this fornication, this is where I was at. God in the Old Testament had the laws. And when we moved into the New Testament and Jesus Christ comes here on earth, it's not just about the laws, but it becomes about the heart. It's not that he did away with the law, but when you have that heart change, when you fall in love with God, when you fall in love with him and you love him with everything that you have, you do what he asks because you love him so much. That's how a relationship works. If Mike asks something of me, not, something like super crazy or anything, but if Mike asks something to me, I love him so much that even if it was something that I may never have thought of before, it's like, I love you so much that I want to do that because I love you and I want to do that for you. And that's what ends up happening in our relationship with God. So again, in the Old Testament, it was more about the law, but when Jesus came, he wanted it about the circumcision of the heart. What does that mean? I read something on Facebook the other day where it said something, and I'm not quoting it like to the word, but it said something about, I don't care how much you know the Bible if you don't act like you've read the Bible. Did anyone see that going around on Facebook? No? I could be saying the words wrong, but basically it's like you can quote every single scripture in the Bible to me, but if you're living your life like you've never read those scriptures, there is a problem. So here God called Esau a fornicator because he was looking for temporary satisfaction. Let's talk about sex. Why is it that people sometimes can't wait till they're married to have sex? There's so many reasons why this happens, but it all comes down to some sort of satisfaction, some sort of filling our need or filling someone else's need, right? You could say, well, because, my boyfriend or girlfriend was pressuring me into it and I wasn't strong enough to say no. It could be because I knew that it was going to be awesome, so I wanted to do it, or whatever the reason may be. We get this temporary satisfaction with doing these things, and what happens when we do these things that cause temporary satisfaction, we're missing out on everything that God has for us. So again, whatever the reason may be, all these different things in life. And when it comes down to our desires, because the past couple weeks we've been talking about laying down, there's a cost, right, to becoming a disciple of God. So with this cost, it means laying down our desires, because really what happens with these desires and these fleshly passions, or whatever the Bible calls it, is that really it's something that we want to satisfy us. It's not about doing something that pleases God. It's about doing something that either pleases us or doing something that is pleasing to someone else. So here, Esau, again, he gave away his birthright for temporary satisfaction, but the horrible thing is he couldn't get it back. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how hard he fought for that, he could not get it back. So what about, all these different things, when we do things in life, we have to think about what the cost of doing these things is. Again, we live in the world where it's this world of instant. It's this world of now. It's this world of have it however you want. Someone said something about a religion of like a what's McDonald's slogan like? Burger King. Yeah. What? Yeah, whatever their quote is, and it's really what our society has come to is I just want to go, it's like the salad bar. I want lettuce and I want to put whatever I want on it. I don't want you to give me the salad that you made. I want to make my own salad. So I want it how I want it, when I want it. So again, we have to realize with all this stuff happening, these temporary satisfactions sometimes get in the way of our relationship with God. Because when we're so focused on the here and now and what's going to satisfy me in this moment, we're missing out on everything that God has for us. Because when our eyes are focused on us, they cannot be focused on Him. Amen? In Matthew 6:19-20, it says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I was reminded of the song, and I think I've told you guys this before, and I don't even listen to this person. I don't even know who it is, but I just remember, and I'm always reminded of the song where it says, "There's got to be more to life than chasing down every temporary high." That's how old it is. Oh my God. Okay, that gives my age. So I was thinking of the lyrics to this song because many times in life, that's what we're doing, is we're caught up on one high to the next. I'm not talking about a drug high. I'm talking about, it could be, but I'm talking about anything that is giving you temporary satisfaction. It satisfies you in the here and the now, and then later you're like, what the heck was I thinking when I did that? What the heck was I thinking when I was gossiping? What the heck was I thinking when I was looking at pornography? What the heck was I thinking when I was sleeping with my boyfriend, or when I was sleeping with my girlfriend, or when I was riding the line? All these different things it takes our focus off of what God has planned for us. And this world is such a big place, and God has literally placed you exactly where He needs you to be. He's given you everything that you need to fulfill this life that He has planned for you. And many times when we feel like, well, there's a lack, God says, that's there so I can continually provide for you. And He's going to continually provide for you. He will always supply your needs. But again, we need to stop chasing this instant gratification. We need to stop chasing these immediate results and start focusing on what really matters in this life and the life after this life. And that's why I love this verse, because it says, where your treasure is, what do you value most in life? And don't think about like what you want to say you value most in life, but look at the things that you do every day and try to think what really is important to me. As a Christian, you want to say like reading the Bible is important to me, or praying is important to me, or my relationship with God's important to me. But literally think about all the things that you do every day and figure out what really is most important to you. Because it says here, do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven. Temporary satisfaction, immediate results, That's laying our treasure here on this earth. But focusing on what is important to fulfill your calling, God, that's laying up treasures in heaven. So really, the point you need to come to in life is the life of God really that important to me? Do I say that it's important to me, but I keep looking for temporary satisfaction in people? Keep looking for temporary satisfaction in things that I do or things that I want to be, what I want to be. What really is important to you? Because when your life is, if you say, God, what's really important to me is living the life that you have planned for me, it's, again, not focusing on our own thoughts, our own wants, our own needs, our own desires. It's not focusing on other people and what God's doing in their life. It's literally saying, God, I'm going to keep my eyes on you, because it all boils down to this. What do you want out of life? Are you putting your future in God's hand, or are you like Abraham, who just says, I'm going to put my future in my hands because this is the way that I need it to happen, and that's how I want it to happen? If I could I'm going to have Ariel come up tonight. In Genesis 19, it should say 19 to 21. Genesis 19 to 21, it says, Then God said, Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son. You'll call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and greatly increase his numbers. But he will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. God's plan all along was that Abraham would have this child of promise with his wife Sarah. Even if Abraham deviated from the plan that God had for him, even if Abraham tried planning this whole other thing and sleeping with this servant and, creating this other human being, even if Abraham tried offering this child to God in place of Isaac, God's plan all along was that Isaac would be the child of promise and that his covenant would be with Isaac. So many times we do what Abraham did and we go on our own detour instead of just really trusting in God and really trusting in his timing. And again, apply this to any area of your life. School, a job, a spouse, a ministry, whatever it is. So many times we try to take life and create our own path for what we want it to be. And God blessed Ishmael. He didn't just throw him to the side and say, well, you did your natural thing and I'm just going to toss him aside. God blessed Ishmael. But the fact is God's plan is still going to prevail. God's plan is still going to go through. So no matter the course that you decide to take for yourself, I want to go right, I want to go left, I'm going to go, just keep going like this. Eventually, God's plan is going to come to pass because he says, no matter how much you detour, I still have that plan for your life. So it all comes down to, again, do we put our trust in God? Do we put our trust in the plan that he has for us? Or do we keep getting sidetracked by temporary satisfaction? Do we keep getting sidetracked by people's things that they're saying to you? So many times what we do is we listen to what other people say and we let those thoughts get inside of us, and that distracts us from everything that God has for us. But I have over here, it's worth the wait. A year. God said, I'm going to give you Isaac. In 1 year from today, 1 year, he said, by this time next year, Sarah's going to have a child. And he's like, God, just let Ishmael live before you. I don't want to go through this. I'm 100 years old. She's 90 years old. But God said, my plan is still going to come to pass. His plan's going to come to pass. We just have to decide, am I going to submit to the plan of God? Am I going to fully trust everything that he has planned for my life? Am I going to know that he has abundantly great things in store for me and trust that he does? Or am I going to keep getting stuck in temporary satisfaction? Am I going to keep deviating from God's plan to get these immediate results? And in John 14:15-17, it says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may abide with you forever. the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. We have to realize that he's given us a helper. When we're walking down this path that God has for us, he does not make us do it alone. He says, I've given you a helper. He lives inside of you. Do you need help? I cannot do this alone. I don't know about you. I've tried. It doesn't work. It's like Abraham, always trying to just figure out my own course. Well, God, I have a better plan. Well, God, what about this? Well, God, I was thinking, I was talking to this person. I was thinking that maybe I could. And God's like, Ashley, I thought of you before you were even in your mother's womb. I created you with a specific plan and a specific purpose, with a specific timing. It's all laid out. You just have to submit and say, yes, God, I'm going to walk in your ways. Yes, God, I'm going to follow you. Yes, God, I'm going to trust you. And I can't drive this point home anymore. Then we are a generation that wants immediate results. We are a generation that wants immediate satisfaction, no matter what it is. And what happens in those times that you try to stay away from that immediate satisfaction or that temporary gratification and you fall into it, I don't know about you, but usually afterward it's like, man, why did I do that? And then the next time, man, why did I do that? 10 times later, I don't even care anymore. We don't want to get to that place where doing things contrary to God's plan doesn't even feel wrong anymore. So tonight is the night I just want to give you guys time to just talk to the Lord. And I offer this every Sunday night because I know as young people, it's so easy to get so busy in what's going on in our life. And we check in for church, but once we leave, we check out. So I like offering this time for you to just spend with him and just say, God, I don't want to live for my satisfaction anymore. God, I don't want to live for those immediate results and then get discouraged when your plan doesn't happen in my timing. But God, I want to live for you. Everything I do, everything I say, the person that I'm going to become, God, it's for you.